This is kind of a weird one. So I recorded the bulk of this episode back last month, in the early part of March, heading into education, and then with the idea that I would be broadcasting this or releasing it in the first part of April. The idea was that this was going to air on April 1st. The delay came because Mike Massey, who was my contact at Avion and just an all-around amazing guy, went through some medical issues that became quite serious. And unfortunately, we lost Mike over the course of March. And so at the time, Mike had been ill, and so Jake Erickson nimbly stepped in for him, and we shot the video together, us, of course, not knowing Mike's condition and what would eventually happen. We decided that it was best to go forward with this. I knew Mike, he was friendly. He was someone I was acquainted with. He was a great guy, and he's going to be missed. We really were just starting to build momentum working together, and it's just such a shame for him and his family that this happened. So that's what's most important here. But we didn't want to let the episode go to waste. We didn't want to just let this go. So we thought I wanted to acknowledge Mike. He's a great guy and somebody that we're going to miss, and then get on with the episode. This is a longer episode than normal. I know we call this 10 in the Shed, but we kind of dive into the weeds here a little bit and talk about the system in depth. And so what we're going to do is there's going to be a cutoff mark at the 10-minute mark, just so that you get the gist of it, sort of the core of the product, the beginnings of it. And if you want to stick around and watch the rest, you absolutely can. There will be a promo code as normal this week, but I didn't want to go forward without acknowledging that. So we're late to release the episode for a reason. There's more stuff to come, but enjoy this session with Jake, myself, and as we talk Avion. Okay, so Avion Controls is a Bluetooth mesh wireless lighting control company that have done projects ranging from a couple of conference rooms all the way up to entire campuses. And I wanted to have them on the show because I think there's a lot of trepidation about using wireless controls. There's a lot of, reliability questions, and we're just used to a certain way of doing lighting controls, and it's time to break out of that. And Avion is one of the leaders in this space. We're so happy to represent them at SDA. And so I wanted to have Jake on. I wanted to talk about the system. There really isn't a lighting component to this, as far as there's not like a fixture to light up, so that's why I'm not in the shed. But Jake takes us through an overview of the system. All right, so what we want to talk about today is Bluetooth lighting controls in general, but really Avion specifically. So let's start off with just an overview. Who is Avion? What are you guys doing in the space, and how do we get started?
Okay, where to start with that? So Avion, we based our technology off Bluetooth. Now, we come from a different background. A lot of people use the same chipsets as other Bluetooth vendors. We use the same because everyone, there's certain Bluetooth chip manufacturers out there. The difference where we come in, as far as with Avion, is the background that we have, as far as the engineering background. Our CEO, he actually created a lot of this, the smart metering networks, like the actual meter, the power meter on the side of your house to span entire cities and get the data back, automatically, instead of having some guy drive around in a truck or walk up or, do the little beacon probing thing. So there's a lot of background with wireless communication, which is fantastic. When the Bluetooth came along, the Bluetooth low energy, right? This is a little different Bluetooth than you'll have for your speaker, that, your Bluetooth speaker that you can walk in 3 different rooms and then all of a sudden it stops, it cuts out. This is a little different. It's not as much bandwidth, so it can go further and get through materials a lot easier, which is really nice. So Avion's we're one of the lead. We were one of the first, probably the first one to put Bluetooth into a commercial lighting application, which is fantastic. So we've got a lot of experience, a lot of cool engineering behind it.
So I think when we talk about lighting control specifications, the main thing that people or specifiers worry about is basically its performance, right? At the end of the day, your end user is going to hit a button on the wall or touch something on their smartphone or something, and they expect what they expect to have happen instantly without any kind of delay or latency. What what are the advantages of Bluetooth in that space versus some of the other newer technologies that are out there?
Now, Bluetooth is really nice because it does a lot of this Bluetooth, a lot of it's mesh networking. Not every Bluetooth vendor out there has mesh networking, but Avion does, and several others do as well. The mesh networking that makes it so simple and reliable is each device will talk to each other. It sends one signal, then it repeats the signal, kind of like a lot of people in a room yelling at each other, right? You just yell it to the next guy. I don't know if you've played that game where you yell something to one guy and another guy. That's what the Bluetooth mesh does, and that makes it very reliable. The other part of reliability with with using a Bluetooth technology is it's simple. There's not much communication going on, and it's encrypted. So a lot of people think, oh, it's Bluetooth, you can hack into it. You can't.
Right.
I mean, if you really were that bored sniffing out, one of a billion or trillion packets out there as far as Bluetooth packets, then you got more time in your hands than needed. But
yeah, I mean, on the security front, what I've told people, and I don't know if you agree with this, but any system, whether you're talking about a traditional lighting control system or a PoE system or anything else that might be out there, sure, if someone's dedicated enough is hackable, right? But if you're talking about a lighting network, at best, they're going to turn your lights on and off. So as long as you're following best practices with network security, it's a pretty low yield win for a hacker is to flip the lights on and off, right? I don't know. I don't know how you feel about that.
I agree with that. It's when it comes down to it's like, oh, they're going to turn their lights on. Maybe they'll sniff out the command to turn a group on and off. So now they're turning an entire room or area on and off. Worst case, the really cool part about with Avion is that we are the first ones to meet the UL listing for platinum security rating. And so that gives a lot of people, it's really awesome. It's in our entire platform, all the way down to the app, to the every little device, our cloud. They have people trying to hack, UL engineers trying to hack into our infrastructure. And it was great. We weren't expecting the platinum, but no one else has it as far as it's an Internet of Things platinum. It's not just a lighting control.
Got it.
And so that's really nice how secure we are.
That's awesome. So we talked a little bit about Bluetooth tech. Let's take a step into Avion specifically. Sort of what's the system architecture? What should we start thinking about when it comes to building out an Avion system?
Love it. Okay, so since what's different with Avion compared to anybody else, as far as I know, now if people want to correct me on this, it's just because I'm just not educated in other people's systems and our competitors as much. Okay.
The promo code this week, we're late in April, so we're going to change that promo code up a little bit. It's going to call it April Showers. I think we all want some bright, sunny flowers next month. So April Showers bring May flowers. The code this month is going to be April Showers. And if you drop that code in an email to mail@deliveredlumens.lighting, you will be entered to win a $50 Amazon gift card.
The difference with Avion is we don't have a main brain. There's no main hub or gateway or anything like that. Each one of our devices act independent of themselves. So this is a small little device. We'll jump into some hardware. This is our small little device. This is called the LVFA, and this works with dim to off drivers. And what this guy does is it has its own brain inside of it. So it knows, it has its own time. It knows, hey, at 5 o'clock, I'm supposed to turn off or on, whatever you tell it to, or on at a certain level. It knows what it's supposed to do, and we'll just do it. And there's nothing telling it what to do. It tells itself what to do. So one of the main differentiators with Avion compared to anybody else out there, now I want to be corrected on that because maybe I don't know as much, but each node talks to itself. So what you do is you end up having either one of these in your light with a dimmed off driver, or you incorporate one of these guys right here. This is the IFA, internal fixture adapter, and it has high voltage in and high voltage out. So it actually has a high voltage relay built into it. So the LED drivers that won't dim to off, this will actually cut power to the LED driver itself.
Got it.
And so this is very popular. This is our most popular one because it's like, well, this will work no matter what.
Got it.
So those guys are selective.
Okay. So from a high level, am I specifying this system? Am I trying to build control nodes into my fixtures, or am I living with these control nodes outside of my fixtures and plugging into them? How does that, on a very high level, how does that system architecture work?
Yeah, on a high level, you'd want to put one of these, one of these two devices, either or, into every single fixture. The benefit with that is the electrician, they just have to make sure there's no switch legs. They don't have to worry about circuits. Just give the lights 100% permanent power, and then we'll turn the lights on and off. The Avion nodes will turn the lights on and off. We are fixture agnostics. That makes us very powerful to get into any type of fixture. Sometimes this is a little issue with UFO high bays, as you can imagine, this form factor. So there's other, this usually works with those guys. So on a very high level, you want to put one of these in every single light fixture. Once you do that, the mesh will build itself out. There's no real math to it. So if you have 6 lights in a room, or you have 70 lights in a big warehouse area, you just add one of those to every single light. And then it can build out from there. Since you don't have to run any Cat5 or any other extra cables for a hub or any type of general gateway, it literally is, let's put 50 lights in the ceiling. Let's add a wall station. This is our battery powered wall station. Sure. Let's add a wall station, and Bob's your uncle.
So when it comes to wall stations, are these battery operated? Are these powered wall stations? How does the wall station portion of this work?
We have multiple options. I brought our most popular one. This is a battery option. This is the percentage. This one, people really like this because they can literally replace this with, from the existing wall switch was there, and people know, oh, it's a light switch. I know if I hit 50, I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen. So there's this version here, which is the battery. It comes with 2 batteries here. The batteries last 10 years. So it's a 10-year life cycle on these. And so this is our most popular one. This comes in percentage and number. And then there's also this exact same form factor in AC version, and we accept, 120 to 277 volt on the AC lines.
Got it.
And so there's 4 SKUs for the wall station. We have other options as well. Sure. We have some things coming up in the future that we'll tell you about later.
Okay. So thank you so much for joining us for the main session on this Avion Controls overview. Like I said at the beginning, we're going to go into some bonus time here. Jake and I started talking about some larger systems, some of the ways we integrate with OEM partners, some of the other details that go into the system. Stick around. I think it's interesting information, especially if you're considering specifying one of these systems in the near future. If not, I get it. Thank you for watching Head in the Shed, and we'll see you on the next one. So we've talked a little bit about keypads. We've talked about basic fixture controls. How do we deal with daylight harvesting and occupancy sensing? What are the sort of cores of our energy code here in New York? How do we meet those codes?
Fantastic. So let me just show you the product. This is the product. This is our direct connect sensor right here. It comes with a little screw here. So it's multiple mounting options, whether you mount it inside your fixture or you mount it, inside the ceiling tile, as far as, putting the ceiling tile right here. This sensor itself has a little motion LED behind it, just like every other sensor. And then it also has this light pipe. And so this one sensor will do, daylighting and motion together. And so with this direct connect sensor, it comes with a small little cable that connects. If you can see that, there's a little sensor interface port right there.
Okay.
And so it comes with either the default is a 3-foot cable or a 10-foot cable. And then we've got a plenum cable coming. I believe that might be, I don't know if that's 10 or 16 foot. I'll have to check on that one. But with these motions, and also it's partnered with this little direct connect motion sensor. Now this is a microwave right here. One will be the status light. The other one is the ambient light sensing. So this works really well. The cool thing about this one is the form factor. It comes with this default clip so that it clips in your ceiling tile, and the flat ribbon cable, you don't even have to modify the ceiling tile. It literally clips on there. A second mounting option as far as a magnet mount right here. So if you needed to magnetize that to anything, and as you can see, this thing's really small. It's about the size of my thumb there. I've got a big thumb, but so this works out really well. But as far as meeting the energy codes, as far as quoting a system, you're like, okay, I need motion, I need daylight. You can use either one of these products, and then just depends on how you configure them is what what they're going to do. So, with these direct connect sensors, these are our most popular and the most easiest to configure and the easiest to find, inside the app and through other tools. This
awesome.
will meet all the codes.
Okay, so at a very high level, we've talked about fixture control, our keypads, our actual user interfaces, our physical user interfaces, and we've talked about sensors. So now I think what brings us all together, and I think probably the heart of the Avion system, is the software, right? So both from a commissioning standpoint, getting the system started, and then from an everyday use standpoint, what can we expect? Because I think this is where the rubber is going to meet the road for a lot of end users. Is this easy to use? Is it easy to set up? How do we, and for specifiers, how do we make this work for everybody?
Okay, so the hardware, you've seen the hardware, that's pretty easy, right? Put one of these in every single fixture. You don't have to worry about any other math or logic or anything. You just put it in every fixture, put it in the ceiling, how many wall stations done, how many sensors done. Very easy to quote, very easy to manage. On the control side, with the app, we've got a couple different options. The most popular option is the actual app you download from the Androids, from the Android store, or the for an Android device or for an Apple device. We work on both platforms, and that works really well. There's a bunch of videos online that show how to do it step by step, as far as how to create groups, schedules, everything like that. And so that works out really well. We've got a lot of training content there, and that's what people use the most. Now, if you want to go above and beyond for a large project, we have our Avion Pro, which is a commissioning software that currently runs on an Apple Mac, like a MacBook Air or something.
Sure.
And that's the commissioning software, and that does the exact same thing as the app. It just has more real estate, more shortcuts, easier to get to the groups page just with shortcut buttons. And that works out really well in conjunction with another piece of software we have called the contractor tool. It's more of a zone scanning tool. So okay. It actually uses the QR codes on the back of these devices, and then you can have the contractor or the electrician just scan the codes and say, yeah, this light or this Avion node is in the kitchen, for example.
Okay.
And then once we do that, once you scan all those in, then we use the Avion Pro, whether you're on site or remote, to import all those zones and automatically configure the zones and the sensors. And so it is quite easy that way. Now, for about between 200 to 300 nodes, people use the app just fine. When they go above that, and then we can assist them on the commissioning side as far as kickoff calls, what to do, when to do it. And use the contractor app to scan the QR codes, and then we can log in remotely. That's one of the things that makes Avion so powerful, is all the engineering behind it. We can we did a big, huge high school, a really big high school, and our commissioning tech got on site for a total of 4 hours. And so it was fantastic. The electrician there was great. The contractors are great. So they're able to scan in all the nodes, and then we're able to hook up our this is our little remote access bridge. This little guy right here that bridges the Wi-Fi to the Bluetooth, so that we can have access remotely. And then we're fully able to commission the project remotely, wall stations, sensors, groups, everything remotely. And so that's a very powerful thing that we have available to us that I don't think a lot of other control systems have.
Yeah, so just for the folks that are going to be watching this in the New York market, where SDA is the Avion rep, we have our own controls team. We're happy to walk through those steps as you're starting to build out the system, whether we're talking about a larger project where your contractor is going to want to keep track of those QR codes and locations of devices, or we're talking about a more simple, smaller system where you're really just going to grab the app and go through maybe an office space or something like that. If we're building out a system with Avion, we talked about being fixture agnostic, but on the OEM side of this, quick plug here, H.E. Williams is an Avion partner. H.E. Williams is another line that we represent. I've done a number of projects with H.E. Williams through the New York City schools. So I'm pretty familiar with that integration. But when we're working with other manufacturers, what does it take to sort of get that OEM relationship together? How do we make sure that we're marrying the system and the controls properly?
Excellent. So the huge advantage, like H.E. Williams, they do a fantastic job, fantastic product, as we all know. And then they actually get our node, this particular little LVFA, and they put it inside every single fixture. Now, since we are fixture agnostic, any fixture with 0 to 10 volt dimming capability, we can control. And so if you have another lighting vendor, Acme lighting or something like that, right? Then what we do is we actually work with them. We help you, help work with them and say, hey, this is how you do it. This is how you test. And it's not uncommon to have the lighting manufacturer send in some samples, and we play with them as well. Or we just, FaceTime them and they just test it with what they have.
All right. If you made it all the way to the end, you're a rock star. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me on this one. I think this is the future of lighting controls. I really do. I think that the idea that we're going to have, relay panels buried somewhere in a closet and pulling 0 to 10 volt wires back and forth and all that is crazy talk. It just doesn't seem to be where we're going to be in the future. I can't tell you which technology is going to win, but I think what Avion's doing is the future of controls. Software-based, nodal, electrician brings power, fire the system up, get into the software, commission it, get rolling. I think that's what people want. I think that's what people are going to get used to in their own homes. And I think we have to be ready for it as a specification community. So thank you for joining us, and I will see you next time, 10 in the Shed.